Yo, what's good, family? If you're here right now because of the video title, I just want you to know that this isn't clickbait. This actually happened. I did quit trucking within 2 days of me being over the road. A little bit of background about this video before we jump into it. This video is current, but the events that took place happened roughly 2 months ago. So this video probably should have happened 2 months ago. But me being adult me, I wanted to take some time to separate all my biases so I wouldn't be putting the blame on anyone else. Not to say that anyone's to blame in this situation, at all. I just quit, just because I felt like trucking wasn't for me, or the type of trucking that I was doing at the time wasn't for me. So I took some time to separate, all my gripes. I don't want to put blame on the company. I don't want to put blame on the trainer. However, some of the things that happened, between me and the trainer, me and the company, did contribute to, my final decision in leaving trucking. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and dive into the video. Perfect. Around middle of September, I set out on my journey for trucking. I was excited to get into a truck to go over the road. I went over the road, mainly because my instructors in the CDL school were telling me, hey, probably go over the road first, because it opens a lot more opportunities for you when you try to come back and go local. So stay over the road for at least a year and then come back and try to go local. I went ahead and got picked up by a company that the school recommended, one of the companies that the school recommended. And I was set to go out over the road. So this is how it happened. The first day they called me, they were saying, hey, we got a trucker that's leaving next week. How do you feel about leaving next week? I was like, next week? Cool. And then they asked me, hey, are you a smoker? I was like, no, I'm not a smoker. I never have been. It's like, all right, we'll contact you next week, let you know what day to be ready, just go ahead and get all your things together. I'm like, okay, cool. So that was on a Thursday. Well, on a Friday, they called me again. The very following Friday, the next day, they called me. It's like, hey, Ian, we got some great news. The trucker, how do you feel about leaving on Saturday? I was like, Saturday? That's tomorrow. He's like, yeah, are you ready? I was like, yeah, absolutely, because that's what I told him. I was ready to go immediately after school. I was just so excited and eager to get out there on that road. So I just told him, yeah. Well, they asked me the question again. Hey, are you a smoker? My reply was the same as the day before. No, I'm not a smoker. All right, cool. Well, it's like, yeah, you'll be leaving on Saturday, such and such, whatever. I was like, where are we going? They didn't know at the time. It's like, wherever, the driver picks. Yeah, because, they with that company, they kind of let you pick your loads, pick where you want to go. And so it was, based on him. Well, they called me earlier that day on that Friday, and then they called me again later on, to say that, hey, a little bit of a mix-up, you're not going to be leaving until Sunday. So what we want you to do tomorrow is Saturday. We want you to come in. We got some things for you to do over the computer, which was go through like some, in the military, we call them CBTs, just like some basic videos, to tell us what's what on the truck, what's what on the road. So I ran through those, actually met the trainer that I was going to be driving with, my trainer mentor, and got a few items, to take with me over the road. That happened that Saturday, so I was leaving that Sunday. So I got all my things together that Sunday morning, I met with the trainer at where we park our trucks at our truck terminal. And, we were transferring our things from our personal vehicles into the semi-truck. Everything was cool. That Saturday, he seemed like a pretty cool guy. Sunday came, he's still cool. Well, it happened shortly down the road. After I told them twice that, hey, I'm not a smoker, the trainer lit a cigarette going down the road. And it's crazy, because he started off driving, actually, So let me back up here. So we actually went from Tucson, Arizona to a place called Kingman, Arizona that first day. He started off driving. We had a load going from, we picked up a load from the home goods store, one of the home goods stores in Tucson, that we were taking to Olympia, Washington. So we drove from Tucson to Kingman that day, which was like 4 hours and some change. And so he drove to a spot called Eloy, Arizona, which was an hour away. Kingman may have been like 5 hours, because I think I drove like 4 hours and 12 minutes that day, if I remember correctly. So he drove an hour to Eloy, and then I drove from Eloy to Kingman, and when we got done, my Qualcomm time was like 4 hours and 12 minutes. So we did that day, and like I said, going down the road, he lit up a cigarette, and I was thinking, all right, cool. Maybe he need his little smoky smoke, or whatever, and this gonna be it. Nah. This brother was smoking every 15 to 20 minutes. Every 15 to 20 minutes, he was huffing down another cigarette. That was strike number one for me, man. Because I'd already told these cats, hey, I'm not a smoker, man. I would appreciate it if y'all didn't put me in with a smoker. And not only is he smoking during the day, he's waking up in the middle of the night freaking smoking. And not only is he waking up in the middle of the night smoking, he's waking up in the middle of the night coughing up a lung. And, it's COVID going on. And we're in very close quarters, staying in the truck. You mean to tell me I got to stay in a truck with this gentleman all over the road, all over the U.S. for 4 weeks, an entire month? Man, the first night, when he woke up in the middle of the night, my nose was burning, my lungs were burning, and I hadn't even been smoking, and it felt like I had been. And the second day we were, I guess he thought about it, he said the first day we probably T-called a load, and if I remember correctly, T-calling is when you drop the load at the nearest terminal. If you go to an area, you're near a terminal, and let's say, in our situation, we were going to get to our destination where we're supposed to drop our final destination a whole day ahead, so a whole 24 hours ahead. And so what would have happened when we got there was we would have had to sit on that load for 24 hours, meaning we would have just been sitting in place for 24 hours. And he didn't want to do that, and neither did I, because we were losing out on money at that time. So the T-call was we were going to drop the trailer off at the nearest terminal. So the next terminal from Kingman, the nearest terminal we could have dropped it off at, we were hauling Swift freight. So the nearest terminal was in Sparks, Nevada. And so we were going to drop that load off in Sparks, Nevada. So this was that Monday. We're going into Monday now, right? All right, cool. The first night was cool. We stopped at the little rest area in Kingman, little truck stop there. Got some food that night, and we went to bed. All right, so the next day, we wake up kind of early, about 6 in the morning. I get out of the truck, do me a couple of push-ups or whatever. Get a bottle of water and my toothpaste and toothbrush, and I'm getting ready to brush my teeth. And I kid you not, this gentleman looks at me and he says, "Hey, you about to brush your teeth?" I was like, "Yeah." I was looking at him like, "You're not?" He's like, "Oh, nah, dude, I brushed mine last night." And I was looking at him like, "Boy, I know you playing right now, boy. Man, I know you playing." Brother wasn't playing, man. He literally looked at me and said, "Nah, I brushed mine last night." I was like, "All right, bro, you woke up literally at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning freaking smoking, bro. You were sitting up in the front seat smoking. You got out of your bunk, your bottom bunk, to go to the front seat on the passenger side and start smoking. And you ain't gonna brush your teeth this morning, brother?" I was like, "All right, you a little bit nasty, bro." Now, mind you, we're at a rest area, a truck stop that we didn't take showers at. So, we didn't take no showers, and on top of that, you're not gonna brush your teeth. All right, brother. All right, so that was strike number 2 for him. All right, so we get on the road, and this is, no. Before we get on the road, let me back up again. I'm trying to remember things as they happen, So, how we're supposed to do a pre-trip, right? Before we start driving, pre-trips should last, I was told 30 minutes, and I firmly stand on 30 minutes right now, because me being new, I want to make sure I got everything covered. Well, during the pre-trip, man, we just literally kind of walked around the truck. We didn't really inspect nothing. No going under the hood whatsoever. We kind of walked around the truck, looked at the trailer, and that was it. And during my inspection, what I inspected visibly was one of the trailer tires. It was an inside tire. I've never seen a tire like this before in my life. I don't see how the tire was still holding air. The tire was dented in on one side, and it had bubbles all around it. And I was like, "Yo, brother, you don't think we should get that checked out?" He's like, "Nah, man." I was like, "Well, how far we gotta drive?" He's like, "Yeah, it's about 10 hours. It's like, we gonna be good to drive on 10 hours? He's like, "Yeah, we'll be good." I was like, all right, another strike. The next strike was we saw that on that same inside tire, the outside of that tire had a hub oil leak on it, and it was pretty bad. He's like, and I saw him kind of hesitant on that one. He's like, "Yeah, we should be good." And so he didn't want to, call that in and say, hey, we got a hub oil leak as well as a bad tire on the inside of this trailer. Hey, we need to stop and get this changed. He didn't want to do that. And me, I'm a little bit skeptical. I'm a new driver. I'm already paranoid. So I have a cousin in trucking, and he's been in trucking for a while. So I call him and ask him, hey man, such and such, blah, 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 this tire is pretty jacked up. Are we good? You think we're good to drive one? And he was like asking me where the tire was. I was telling him the location. And he's like, how long you got to drive? I was like, 10 hours. Like, yeah, you should be good, but excuse me, if it blows out on you, it's gonna really scare you. And I was like, oh man, that's the last thing I need right now. Brand new driver, this is only day 2. And you mean tell me I may have a blowout on day 2? It's like, all right, whatever. So that right there was kind of like the only reason I kept going that day, or else I would have gotten off in Kingman. But instead, I went ahead and went up to Sparks, Nevada. I'm sorry, man. I got a lot of traffic coming in through my neighborhood today. But all right. But yeah, so along that trip to Sparks, Nevada, we had a few people pull out in front of us, cut us off and stuff of that nature. And going up to Sparks, Nevada, we had to pass through Las Vegas and all of that stuff. It's got some pretty steep grades, and downgrades, man, were pretty steep. And so I think on one of the grades, I was trying to brake, and he was telling me, no, get your foot off the brake. And the truck, I was braking speed, at the time I was going down the hill, because I was already, going like 65, 67. Our trucks are governed at 67 for that location. And yeah, so I'm breaking speed, and I'm really feeling like I'm not in control of this truck. And this is probably my fault. I don't fault him at all. When you go out, before you even go out of CDL school, they tell you, hey, protect your CDL. This is your CDL. Don't let anyone tell you how to drive. Don't let anyone tell you anything that's gonna get your CDL taken, basically. So, it was kind of my fault. I'm not blaming him at this point, but, him as a trainer, and I don't feel like he was a bad trainer. I feel like, he tried to take me a little too fast. He expected me to be more experienced than I was, I felt like. He's trying to get me to drive like he would drive, which is cool, but hey, man, this is only day 2. Take it slow with me, brother. You know what I'm saying? So, I broke speed like 2 or 3 times going down the grades, and the company called back like, hey, tell him to watch his speed or whatever. At that time I was like, yeah, man, did you tell him it was your fault? Did you tell him it was your fault? And then another instance was we were coming into a curve, and we were behind another 18-wheeler, and the 18-wheeler started to slow down in front of us. And so I'm starting to brake with him, because I can see that it's a steep curve ahead, and he's slowing down obviously for a reason. Maybe he's been up here before. I've never been up here before, so I'm trying to take my time around these curves. And he tells me, hey, get over, what are you doing? Pass the truck. I'm like, pass the truck, brother? He's slowing down for obvious reasons. And me and him, we on the same page, because I want to slow down too. Maybe it was another student driver who was doing that. But, I want to be like him. Slow down, bro. We ain't got to take these corners so fast, man. We got to load those. That's when he started telling me, man, it's pretty light, with this load, we can push it to our limits. I'm like, push it to our limits. And when he said that, it made me think back to one of the employees at the company. She was telling me that, hey, we have some people here who are what we call super truckers. He indeed was a super trucker. He had been on the road for 12 plus years, and, this guy was very smart, about all of the roads, highways, and stuff like that. He could tell you what ran to all the way down to whatever from whatever. He was that type of guy, and he was really good and thorough with it, and it worked for him. But for me, I wasn't ready for that yet, So that was another complaint that I had with him, And then when we got up, almost an hour outside of Sparks, we saw a really bad accident. We got there probably just moments after it happened before any of the police even got there. But what had happened was it was a single car accident, and man, I'd never seen a car mangled like this before in my life. It was a little Honda Civic. Looked like he had flipped several times. The motor was, man, it didn't even have a motor in the car anymore. Like it was on the top side, so it had flipped upside down. You know what I'm saying? So that guy had to be airlifted. We sat in that traffic for like, man, probably 2.5, 3 hours almost, you know, for the paramedics to get out there, you know, because like I said, he had to be airlifted. All the paramedics had to come through the traffic. Man, it was insane, and this was all on the second day. And you know, at that point, I'm already thinking like, man, being out here on this road, this is what I'm gonna have to deal with. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna have to deal with this often. You know, you see some terrible things out there on the road. You know, so being a trucker, you have to have really thick skin. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't just, hey, I'm gonna get in this truck, I'm gonna drive, I'm gonna sightsee. Nah, it's none of that. You know, because most of the times you're taking back roads. You know, you're not even taking, like, you're taking old highways and freeways. You know, you're not even taking the main stuff. And with that, actually, the drive up to Nevada is very boring, very depressing. Like, nothing's there. It's, at least the way we went, nothing was out there whatsoever. And I even got some video footage that I'm gonna throw in here. So nothing, like I said, nothing was out there. It was just insane, man. Like, that was one depressing drive. Like, you know, my trainer, like, we tried to talk a little bit, you know, but we just weren't clicking, you know, like I thought we would. You know, I won't talk bad about him, you know, but I think he was depressed. You know, I think he had some problems going on that he probably needed to be seen for. You know, and I let the people at the company, you know, like, hey, man, you know, because I've been in the military, you know, and I've seen depression, you know, and I know what depression can lead to, you know, so I told the company, you know, like, hey, man, just check him out, you know, make sure he's good, you know, because you know, I want to look out for people, you know what I'm saying? If me, you know, telling, if you're snitching or whatever you want to say it is, you know, can help save a life, I'd rather save a life, you know, in this situation. You know what I'm saying? I ain't no snitch, but, you know, in this situation, if I can save a life, you know, I'm going to save a life. But, yeah, like, one time I remember asking him, you know, something about kids, you know, and he was like, yeah, I got kids, but they're all older. And then that was day one, just making conversation with him. Then that very next day, day two, you know, I said something along the lines, yeah, man, I don't have any kids that I know of, you know, any biological kids that I know of. He's like, yeah, me either, man. Nobody's ever came knocking on my door either. And that right there, I'm like, brother, you just told me yesterday you had kids that's older. I was like, all right, cool. And man, just some of the things that he said, you know, and just, you know, how he told me, you know, and I was actually the third student that quit on him. You know, so I felt kind of bad, but at the same time, I was like, man, I got to get up out of here. I can't do this. You know, he told me the second student that quit on it, he's like, yeah, man, he didn't talk to me at all. You know, he wasn't very social. You know, and so for that, when he told me that, I was real, you know, I was trying to be social with him. You know, but it was like, really ain't had nothing to talk about. You know, the things that he talked about, like, he was just going on and on about, like, you could tell that he was kind of lonely out there. And, you know, I don't blame him, man. Trucking, that's a lonely profession, man. Trucking over the road, you know, if you're going to do it solo, it's real lonely, you know, and I was able to identify that within only 2 days. You know, so I knew long term there was nothing that I was going to be able to do, you know, because what the pandemic made me realize is, you know, I was more of a people's person than I thought. You know, I would rather be around people than, you know, to be alone. You know what I'm saying? So that was that. And then, like, just going up to, like, getting to Nevada that night, man, like, when we got to our place where we could T-call the load, we actually dropped our trailer that night. I actually backed in, you know, and dropped my own trailer. We had backed into another spot, you know, just bobtailing. And, you know, just sitting there thinking, like, man, I got to be out here for 4 weeks, you know, in areas like this, conditions like this. Ain't no telling what the road conditions are going to be like, you know. And just with his training, you know, I don't feel like I'm going to make it out here, man. So it's like, all right. I was thinking about this all night. So this Tuesday night, I was thinking about it. Or Monday night, yeah, I was thinking about it all night. Because Tuesday night, I actually woke up the next morning and I rented a car and I got out of there. So that night, you know, I was thinking about it, you know, I got up the next morning. I was like, hey, man, where's this next load going to? It's like Sacramento. So I got on my phone. I looked up the distance from Sacramento to Tucson. And I thought about it to myself. I called a few of my people. I was like, yo, I got to get out the truck immediately. It's like, hey, do what you got to do. You know, not like I needed help making a decision, because righteously I'd already decided already. You know, hey, this is it, man. I can't do this no more. So I went back to the truck and told him, you know, because I wasn't talking about it, in front of his face. was like, hey man, hey, I got some family stuff going on. This is it. I can't do it. He's like, I understand. You know, and he was very generous, man. He tried to help me look for flight tickets and all back to the house, which we couldn't find any flights leaving that day. So, you know, I opted for renting a car, which I was totally cool with. So that very day, I drove 13 hours straight back home. You know, I didn't stop, you know, other than for gas. So a whole 13 hours after driving, you know, 10 hours that day before, you know, I drove 13 hours back to the house by myself. You know, it's like it wasn't no way, man. 4 weeks, you know, this guy smoking, you know, training is not thorough. And then for the post-trip, I talked about the pre-trip, but for the post-trip was non-existent. You know, those 15 minutes that we were supposed to be post-trip, and we didn't even get out of the truck. You know, so it's like, yeah, ain't no way, bro. Ain't no freaking way. So that was that, man. So, but honestly, you know, those were contributing factors, but the main factor was me. And, you know, I knew, like, for a fact that I just couldn't be out there. You know, that was a lonely drive, you know, and I just couldn't fathom or imagine being out there on the road like that by myself, you know, especially when the company says, hey, firearms aren't allowed on our vehicle. And, you know, I was like, shit, man, I'm not going to be out here on this road by myself with no firearm, you know. So, you know, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and hang it up right here. You know, so 2 days I quit, you know. Like I said, I don't totally blame the company. You know, I do have my gripes with the company, you know, especially for putting me in there with smoker after I told them twice that I wasn't, you know. But like I said, a lot of that was on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, just over the road, man, wasn't going to be for me. You know, you think you're able to sightsee, you know, just you're not able to do that. You know, you had to be at these places certain times. You know, these loads had to be there at a certain time. You know, you had to have so many hours of driving and all. And then I think for me, especially within COVID, was, you know, the poor hygiene. You know, shit, COVID, man, I want to stop everywhere we can to take a shower. But, you know, I know sometimes in trucking that's not feasible. But, you know, at least I thought for COVID and with two of us, you know, a student and, you know, a trainer, hey, man, we're going to stop and take some showers. And, you know, me, it don't look like Buddy was too concerned with hygiene, you know, so I was like, nah, ain't no way, boy. Ain't no way. So, yeah, man, that was that. You know, I got off that truck within 2 days and drove straight back to the house. But, you know, it is what it is, you know, so we'll see what happens next. You know, stay tuned for my upcoming videos and see what I'm up to now, or see what I got going on next. And, yeah, man. And before I let y'all go, I want everybody out here, you know, that's getting that CDL, you know, that's thinking about getting that CDL, don't go off of my experience. Have your own experience. Your experience may be totally different from mine and be a lot better. You know what I'm saying? You know, some people are built for that, some people are not. You know, I know me being in the military, you know, having to go here, you know, or go there when I'm told to, you know, stay for however long. You know, I knew just like going through all of that for the last 7 years and coming into a profession like this over the road and having to do sort of that similar thing, being away from my family and all, I knew I wasn't gonna last out there. So, you know, that was there was some more contributing factors that, you know, helped me decide on getting off that truck that day I did. You know, so if you're currently getting your CDL or thinking about getting it, have your own experience. You know, don't let nobody tell you that you're not gonna like it or that you're not gonna be able to do it, because you very well may be able to do it. It's just for me, I knew personally, you know, that I was not gonna try to tough out something I didn't like for another 7 years. I'm just not gonna do it. You know, now in the meantime, I'm not gonna be a bum. You know, but at the same time, I'm just not for, you know, doing something for an extended period of time that I know I'm not gonna like. You know what I'm saying? That causes unnecessary stress, you know, and I couldn't continue to tell myself that, hey, this isn't that bad, you know, because when we tell ourselves this isn't that bad, you know, we keep telling ourselves that we're actually preparing ourselves to deal with something we don't necessarily have to deal with. And I knew that I didn't want to deal with that. So that's all I got for you guys, man. If you, like I said again, if you're considering it or already in the process, have your own experience, good luck to y'all, and I'll see y'all all in the next video.